Monday, 20th of May, 2019. We are in the forum room. We have a roll call, please.
Chris Grinland.
Here.
Valerie Howe. Here. Joyce Iverson. John Linder.
Here.
Jeff Michael.
Here.
Bonnie Princeton. Here. Kathy Wade.
Here.
Abby Hay.
Thank you. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First, item number 4, adoption of the agenda. We have actually two additions. One is the May board bills in the amount of $203,575.45. That would be under E. And then we have some new business. It would be item 8H. That would be to approve the athletic training outreach service contract with Winona Health Services, sports medicine, beginning on the 1st of August and ending this year and ending on the 31st of July of 2021. And then the reports will become item 5. Any other
No other
additions
issues.
or corrections? Okay, next, public comments for, do we have anyone that wishes to address? Okay, thank you.
You need to adopt the agenda.
Yes.
I move we adopt the agenda
I second.
with the additions.
Motion by Princeton,
Wait.
second by Wade. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There's no one that wishes to address the board. Okay, in the consent agenda, and we have, first we have regular minutes, our last monthly meeting, the donations in the amount of $650. We have April and payables, wires and payroll liabilities in the amount of $288,758.31. April payroll in the amount of $274,137.48. The May board bills in the amount of $203,575.45. And then we have personnel actions, resignation of Paul Anderson, custodian, resignation of Joe Himley, custodian, hire of Aaron Thompson, credit recovery instructor, hire of Aspen Hartman, elementary special education, hire of John Loney, middle school special education and activities director, hire the following community education staff: Peyton Linus, recreation; Carissa I, recreation; Jasmine Schuler, recreation; Keegan Dittman, kids club and recreation; Isabel Guile, kids club; Holly Nelton, kids club; Chloe Bunky, kids club; and Triton Meldau, kids club. Anything in there anyone wishes to address?
Just want to take a moment to extend my thanks and appreciation to Paul Anderson. He was a trusted custodian here for 32 years, and so we're indebted to him for his years of service. Another thanks to Joe Himley, who actually retired 2 years ago, but we were in need of some additional part-time assistance and was willing to come back and provide that to us. So we're also indebted to him for his willingness to make that happen. So we feel very confident on the hires there for Erin Thompson. She has served in the credit recovery instructor, and we're excited to have her continue in serving in that capacity. Aspen Hartman is a candidate and was a finalist for the elementary position. And then the hire of John Loney for middle school special ed and activities director. Again, we feel very fortunate that we're able to find somebody with his certification and willingness to make the move here to the Rushmore-Peterson area.
Ms. Hartman, she was a graduate of Rushmore too, wasn't she?
She was, yes.
I Can I just ask, I've never heard credit recovery instructor before. Is that the same as the school within the school?
It's our students that fail classes. We have credit recovery for our high school age students 2 nights a week during the school year. And then for 3 weeks in the summer, it's a way for that student that got an F in a class to make that class up because they have to pass every class to graduate. So Cherie Hicks has served in that capacity for as long as I've been here, and with her retiring and moving on, we posted for a position, and then Aaron applied for it and got it. So then it would be, like I said, about 2 nights a week for an hour and a half during the school year, and then for 3 weeks in the summer.
So it lends itself very well to what she's doing in the classroom, so it's just the step in the right direction as far as her continuation working with those students.
Anything else on the consent agenda?
The hiring of John Maloney, is it? What is his salary?
I do not have that. We did a combination there on his years of experience. John came in with, I forget the number of years. I could go down and get that if you wish, but we gave him credit up to 16 years of credit on the salary schedule.
Okay. So what is the cap for teachers here?
17 steps on the salary schedule.
So what is that?
I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head. Just to be fair to everybody, let me go down and get that information so everybody has that.
I'm just concerned if we're going to pay them more than what some of the teachers are making here now. We just don't know.
Thank you for your patience. Before I give you the salary, I do want you to know that the district does have contractually does have the right to extend additional credit for anyone coming in as a teacher, particularly in hard-to-find positions. Finding someone in special ed, particularly male, is considered a hard-to-find position. So his salary for 1920 school year would be $64,030. And he has to come in as a veteran. He does have his master's degree. So let me clarify that number. That's $64,884. So
He comes in with, is it 22 years?
he does, and we gave him credit for 16. Correct.
I'm guessing it's pretty seldom that we hire somebody with that much experience.
We do. It is a rarity for us to do that. But in this particular case, with the difficulties in finding someone with that certification, plus his years of experience and his willingness to make the move, we tried to make the salary package as attractive as possible to entice him to come here to Rushmore Peterson Schools.
So then what is the cap for teachers here already?
On their salary schedule, veteran lane, or do you want the master's lane?
Probably this.
For this year, for 18-19, the step 17 on the master schedule would be $65,090.
Okay, anything else on the consent agenda? Need a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Wade.
I'll second.
Second by Cruzen. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving on to item 7, old business, middle school building update.
In my board packet, I'm informing you as a board that I did follow up and pursue with HPED. At one time, HPED had expressed an interest in leasing the building, and as of last Tuesday, the superintendent's meeting, and I think we all participated in the facilities committee meeting at HPED as well. Their indication is that they're no longer interested in leasing the building, so we're at back to how we want to proceed with that.
Well, there was other interest in that building. I think if we put it back up for bids
Okay?
and leave somebody out of it, we shouldn't have a problem selling it.
I think we had 3 bids last year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Put it out, with the stipulation that the 10% be presented at the time of the acceptance of the bid, rather than signing the purchase agreement. Just to eliminate some of the issues we've had. I think probably a good idea to have a motion to put the middle school building up for bid again.
I'll
second.
Second. Michael?
Would you put a date on that, or just as soon as possible?
As soon as possible. I don't know, no reason to wait, I guess.
Posting sessions. How long we can take?
Yeah, we won't make the paper this week, and with next week's holiday in there, so we go out the week of May 28th, so we could have bids due in on June 24th, closing on the 27th. Are you good with that?
So next week.
Yep. So bids would be due on the 27th with the opening on the, excuse me, on the 24th, and with the opening on the 27th.
And the closing would be that day, but that would be the day of the open.
Yep. Right. In fact, if you wanted to, you could have, you don't need to delay. We could open on the same day, because they're due on the 24th. By noon on the 24th, I think we have a meeting of the facilities committee in the afternoon and open the bids. Okay with that?
Sounds good.
Okay, we'll get that underway.
So Mr. Anderson got his checks back,
Correct.
even the $3,000.
Yes. All on the return.
Okay, we have a motion to proceed with the potential sale of the middle school building in the terms we discussed. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to new business. Approve the RP math requirement adjustment from 4 credits to 3.5 and update the high school math sequence.
So with us tonight is Dina Matheson, and she is one of our high school math instructors. She and Mr. Tim will update you and provide you with some additional information as to the rationale for this change.
And Ms. Matheson, Mr. Hatch is at Gulf Michigan, our other high school math teacher, but Mrs. Matheson and Mr. Hatch came to me earlier this year, because as you know, we're in year 2 of a new schedule, so when we changed schedules, we kind of renamed some of the classes. Mrs. Matheson and Mr. Thompson were part of that. We used to have, as you'll see when we start here, Math 1, 2, 3, and we kind of changed them to more of the Algebra 1, Algebra 2 type stuff to kind of meet what the state was doing, what the state requirements are, and then also just to kind of clean up the sequence. And then after a year and a half here, this year to start, Mr. Hatch and Ms. Matheson kind of looked and said, can we clean it up some more, can we organize it some more to make the most out of it for our kids? So to start, just to kind of give you some history, and we'll kind of go through, and Ms. Matheson, feel free to jump in whenever too. Our freshmen, so used to have when they came in freshman year, they took a semester of Math 1 and Math 2. Their sophomore year, they took Math 3. And then for those upper level kids, they took geometry as an elective class. As a junior, they took applied math or advanced algebra or core STEM. So these are the kids that are currently seniors. They walked in here into this building. Last year, they took that class. They met the requirement of 4. They did not need to take any math their senior year. If they wanted to, our kids could take stats, college algebra, calculus. Our kids could also take intro to college algebra, stuff like that. So there's options for them as an electives that they met the requirements. Our current juniors took 1 and 2 in the old building. When they came here as a sophomore, they took Algebra 2. And that was our way of kind of finishing up here. And then some of them took geometry if they wanted. This year as juniors, they took applied math, core STEM, or advanced algebra. So again, those students, they've hit their 4 requirements, they're done. Next year, they can take any of those optional classes should they want.
And on the old schedule, a semester was worth a full credit, and then when we moved to the new school with the trimesters, they're each worth half a credit. And so they're still getting, in sophomore year, they're getting the Algebra 2, A and B. It's a full credit. That's equivalent to the curriculum that they covered in what was called Math 3 in a semester at the old school. We are able to, now adding it as 2 trimesters here, we get further along in our curriculum and deeper in with the curriculum too. So they're actually getting more, even though the credit is the same.
So then our current sophomores and freshmen, so starting last year, this is what our students did, and we kind of thought freshman year, get them in, it was important to have math all year long as a freshman. Was kind of our math department said. So they took this year's current freshmen and our sophomores, as freshmen took Algebra 1, half of Algebra 2, as a sophomore took Algebra 2 geometry. Junior year they took applied math, core STEM, advanced algebra, and then their senior year they were going to need half a credit elective, either through a college algebra, intro to college algebra, stats, pre-calc, advanced algebra, etc. So there was a way for them to get that, but then this is kind of where we were the last few years, and this is when Mr. Hatch and Mrs. Matheson kind of came and said, hey, let's look at this. There's a better way to do this. Us splitting algebra in half here just isn't quite going right. So what they came up with as an idea going forward would be this, and you can explain this to Matheson.
So now that we're proposing is that they'll take Algebra 1 for freshman year, first 2 trimesters, as they already are. And then instead of splitting Algebra 2, we'll move geometry as a sophomore. Geometry and Algebra 2 are interchangeable. They can take either order. They could double up on it if they want. In fact, we have some students who are testing out of Algebra 1 and into the Algebra 2. And so this year we're having them do some self-pacing with that. And then I'm still testing with them and checking in with them, but they're plugged into an Algebra 1 class. So if we move it this way, it's going to allow for us to see those kids instead of having to be in an Algebra 1 class and working on Algebra 2, they're going to be able to be scheduled into an Algebra 2 class. And then geometry would be offered third try, and they could take it then. And so it works better with scheduling. Then that way also, if you're staying on the traditional track, Algebra 2 is all together in sophomore year. And then junior year, we're giving them the same options. We want to, instead of calling it advanced algebra pre-calculus, we're covering the same content, but this is going to align better with if students transfer, the names of the courses, like when we moved from Math 1, Math 2, Math 3 to Algebra 1 to it coincides better. And then senior year Algebra 2, they have all the same options, but this aligns better with our previous curriculum. Junior year, they're done taking math courses. We have kids who just, math's not their thing, and so why force them to take a class senior year when it's not their thing? They're going to be a pain. Let's put them in a class that they enjoy and they're going to be more successful in. So we're looking at, it's counted as 3.5 credits, but really they're getting the same curriculum and covering as much as we need to. Also, the state requires 3 credits, so we're still above the state in requirements for classes.
Yep, as Ms. Bethlen said, and I think our next one here is, as she said, follows the same sequence. Minnesota does require 3 credits to graduate. So for the most part, it is Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and there's some schools that do geometry as a full credit. So some schools do Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and geometry, and that's all you need to graduate high school. But as we kind of talked, we thought we can get geometry, the standards in what we needed to in one trimester with that. So that aligns us to the 3.5 in that intro pre-calc that's there, or the applied math, which is more the hands-on math for some of our lower level students. And like Ms. Matheson pointed out exactly, our higher level kids can still take some of those classes, those higher level ones, those college credit classes that we have with Minnesota State Southeast for college credit. Some of our lower level students, they kind of get that wall and they're done. So kind of the thought, like she said, was why force them to take a credit here just to get it when we can find one of our many electives in an area that meets their interests, their needs, their senior year to go. And in addition, through some of our senior surveys that we give each year, and looking out there, there's a big push too to get that personal finance component. And we have senior seminar that all our kids take every year. And through that senior seminar, they get a personal finance component, that budgeting, that when we talked as a math department, they kind of felt better too of that, of even the, hey, they're getting this personal finance component. Senior seminar is a 1 credit class. Personal finance is probably half of it. So they're almost getting a half a credit of a personal finance type class. So the math department felt okay kind of giving up that half a credit, saying they're still getting that math in a different way, and we're still above the state standard with it. Like I said, the biggest thing is moving geometry to freshman year, the better flow, and then, like Mrs. Matheson said, we do have students that test out. And this year, math department did a great job of allowing students to kind of go at their own pace and be in Algebra 1 class, but doing Algebra 2 on their own, and that self-paced learning, which was great. We now can, with this new schedule and this new alignment, a freshman can, as at the end of 8th grade, if they want to, can test out of Algebra 1. If they score high enough, as a freshman, they can take Algebra 2. And if it's right in the sequence really nicely, then they take geometry, then they take pre-calc, and they can work through it a little quicker if they're a upper level math student.
We probably have like 11 students this year that tested out of Algebra 1 and went into Algebra 2 that we're working with between Mr. Hatch and I.
Any questions?
Do you find, so seniors not in the elective, that hasn't started yet, that's what you were asking for, but now they still are required to take.
Yeah, well, technically, if you're,
Our current seniors and juniors get 4 credits in by junior year. They're not required to take anything senior
so
year.
they've already got, yeah, so currently, the students that are graduating next week, they've already hit 4 credits. They didn't have to take anything this year.
Do you find that many of them do take it senior year?
Our upper level kids.
Our upper level kids, and we're hoping that, and, we're looking at our curriculum, we're hoping that by allowing more, the change of schedule so that more kids can get into Algebra 2 as a freshman if they'd like, that we're going to see some more of them wanting to advance and see those upper level numbers increase as juniors and seniors.
And our upper level kids, they do take their senior year, especially college algebra, stats, and currently pre-calc and the new one not, but college algebra and stats will count as a college credit for the students. And in working, we put that together, unless they're going into a high-tech science or math field, college algebra covers most of what kids need for their college level class. Our nursing students and some of those go into stats. So our upper level students that want to move on are taking it now anyways. The biggest thing that the conversation came up is the student that just, they hit the wall, they take applied math, they're going to go into the trades, they're going to go somewhere there. Now all of a sudden their senior year, we're forcing them to take a math class that
They don't need.
they don't want, they just, and we've almost tried to, a little bit of, it was kind of are we gonna make up stuff just to kind of go and we can give them a class that maybe suits their needs better their senior year? So it's really not, we haven't hit that yet. Our first kids that would hit it are our current sophomores, that it would really take effect on with the 3.5. But that was just a thought, instead of trying to do square peg round hole their senior year and have the math department going, okay, here's a class, we can make better use of their time.
Do we actually offer, like calc now? Do we have kids in calculus and?
That's been kind of the ebb and flow of if we have, being a small school, being a good year,
Yeah.
we've got some or not, and the hope is with this too of the pre-calculus, is some of our kids, of our really upper level kids, they might be able, like Mrs. Matheson said, we have some kids take Algebra 2 their freshman year. So now if they take pre-calc as a sophomore, as a junior, maybe they're taking college algebra stats as a senior. If we get a pack of 7, 8, 9 kids at a real high level, now we can offer calculus. It's just, it always ebbs and flows, just again, based on the fact that we've got 50 kids in the class. But we've offered it, I think, twice since you've been here?
Twice, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times we've been able to offer it. And it just, again, depends every year on the kids we have. And this new sequence, like Mrs. Matheson said, doesn't hinder us from that. It does exactly the same thing that we were doing before. It just kind of, it's much more organized in our world than Math
So it
1,
depends how many kids are in the class for pre-calc.
2. For calc or pre-calc?
The grade level depends on their makeup. You know, some years we have strong math students and other years we don't. So if we have a big group of strong ones, like this current freshman class, like I said, we have like 11 or 12 kids that have chose to jump into Algebra 2, where in the past we haven't been able to advance them. And so we're hoping to see a good chunk of them being open and wanting to take
I
calculus.
can't remember what college.
Yeah, but our next year, like for example, next year we're offering college algebra and stats, college algebra and pre-calc to our seniors. Stats, we didn't have enough kids sign up for. So those upper level math classes, just like all of our upper level classes or any classes, some years we get lots to sign up for them and we offer them, some not. Then like you look at next year in science, Mr. Mulholland's teaching physics, he didn't teach physics this year. It all depends on what the kids want. It's where the hope with this is they take pre-calc that junior year and then senior year they open themselves up and it can take a little bit more should they be interested in going. And kind of all just trying to meet the needs of our students the best case we need in this advanced, like Ms. Matheson said, this advanced algebra, we're one of the only schools that has advanced algebra, and it is pretty much pre-calc. It's just what it's been forever, and the book we use, the textbook we use was called Advanced Algebra, and it's more of a semantics of a name thing, but then that allows us to do some of those other things senior year.
Anybody else have any questions?
I think it's a good idea, especially for the low-end students where they want to be more focused on job training, shop and et cetera.
And that's where we get them through that applied math, and then they get their senior seminar, and then they can have more hands-on classes that maybe
Yeah.
a need for them.
More hands-on,
Yep.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, make a motion to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the math requirement adjustment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no.
Thank you, Mr. Tim and Mrs. Matheson, for that presentation. Appreciate you being here and sharing firsthand the impact it's going to have.
Moving on to item 8E, approve adding nutrition as a science elective for graduation. Currently, the state requires 3 credits, and we are requiring 4. We use some CTE courses to meet the requirement. We'd like to add another. Any detail we have on that?
Yep, I can fill you in. We kind of deals with the same thing there. The state of Minnesota requires 3 credits of science to graduate. They require like physical science, a biology, and a chemistry. We teach all those freshmen through junior year, And then RP is always had a fourth one of a required class. And you're able to, through our career and tech ed classes, whether it be kind of an agriculture, a family consumer science classes, maybe even a shop class sometimes, tech ed, you're able to offer some credits that way in terms of the classes. So instead of it being a required class, since we have that elective area, again, trying to meet kids' needs where they're at and what they want to be part of. Currently, we have animal science, meat science, and healthcare core are 2 CTE classes that count towards that extra science elective should a student want to choose that versus a physics, a AP bio, an upper level bio, again, kind of looking for those hands-on type kids. Nutrition, when we were in the old schedule, it used to be foods and nutrition together as one class. Now here in our new schedule, we were able to split those and have one class focused on the cooking and the foods and one on the nutrition aspect of it. In working with Mrs. Thompson, it was kind of a question of, it's more the science behind there, so her and I kind of felt as we were talking through that it would be great to count that as one of those extra half credits should a student want after they still take physical science, they still take biology, they still take chemistry. Now throughout their high school career, they need to get one more science class. And like I said, if they're not a upper level science kid, now they can take animal science, meat science, healthcare core. We offer fish and wildlife, which is currently taught by a science teacher, but we have had it taught by an ag teacher, and then now nutrition. So we give the kids 4 options for that. So it'd be just getting board approval on
Can you remind me what CTE means?
career and technical education.
Oh, okay. Something else at my school, so.
So just clarify for the board, Mr. Tim, if you would, the classes other than nutrition that also apply to this were?
Currently our animal science, meat science, and healthcare core, which is the medical field, and fish and wildlife is currently taught by Mr. Kanan, but in the past we've had it as natural resources taught by an ag teacher, and if we have that in the ag department, whether it be natural resources, fish and wildlife, we've counted that one too.
So the healthcare core, does that include our program that we have with Good Shepherd?
Yep, that's the first portion of it. So we have two, we've talked about that nursing program we have where students take the healthcare core first in the classroom, and then the second half is the time, hands-on time at Good Shepherd. And they get their CNA license with that. When we put the healthcare core in and got that approved as sciences, we have some kids that don't want to go on, don't want to get the hands-on part and get their CNA, but they want to get a science credit. So they're taking just the healthcare core part, the basic terminology type stuff with it.
So in addition to the health core class, the students can go to Southeast Tech or Minnesota State College Southeast, correct? And take pass the certification? And,
Yep.
And become a licensed?
Yep, and that's where we're one of the few programs in the state that allows that we have. Mrs. Thompson, Erin Thompson, who works here, teaches it in conjunction with Dana Thompson, who's a nurse we hire out, and they do all the skills training on site at Good Shepherd. And then our agreement with Minnesota State Southeast for that is once they complete that, they'll go up and they'll take the CNA test, and then our students can have the capability of having a CNA license before they graduate high school, which can get them a job right at Good Shepherd. And then any nursing program that they want to go into, you need to have a CNA before you can get the nursing program. And it's a great program that gives our students that want to go into nursing, they've already got that, where a lot of students that want that have to do that at their own time, either through the summer or when they get to college.
I think we're very fortunate and blessed to have that partnership with Good Shepherd and the fact that we have instructors that work with our students, very competent instructors, and so this is our third year.
Yes. Yep.
Third year. This will be our third year of the program, and it's been proven very successful for us. So.
This is, okay, but this nutrition class is not connected to the CNA?
No, but I think Mr. was just giving a point of some of the other cool things we do.
Oh,
He's just bragging up the school to you guys.
just an opportunity for it.
Well, no, it's things that we're constantly pursuing. We're pursuing partnerships. We're trying to provide, and I think Mr. Tim has done an excellent job of fostering so that students, by the time they complete their high school career, they can have anywhere from a full semester or to almost a full year of college credits if they align things properly. So we're one of the few schools that offers that number of college credits. So again, that's just trying to make our program a little bit more applicable to our students and their desires to pursue various careers that are available to them.
So back to this item though, it's a science elective, but I kind of hear you saying it's not going to be taught by a science
No,
instructor.
and that's where the CTE license allows us that leverage. Because another example is we have our metal wood art fabrication and our intermediate woodworking are both classes taught down in the shop area by either an ag teacher, and those can count or our technology education teacher, and those are CTE classes as well, and those count as art credits. So it's just a way that the state has in that career and technical education area to kind of, that you can use some credits in those areas for that. Some schools, there's some schools out there that have a food chemistry class taught by an agriculture education instructor that counts for their chemistry.
So what you said was, I'm sorry, I keep going so back to this item.
Yep.
So that you're not, this is not a new class, you're saying
No.
this is like the old foods and nutrition, but you want to
It's
pull out
split.
the nutrition
Yep, we
and make it
did.
a science elective.
Yep. So what we did is when we came here, we already separated them. So we've taught, Mrs. Thompson's taught nutrition the last 2 years. So this is just the nutrition part, and what I'm asking is that then this can be one of those, that extra credit above and beyond what the state requires that we require here, that this class could count as as a half credit for those kids,
For science.
for science.
How many students took advantage of the CNA certification?
We can max out at 10 a year, and we've had 10 each year. Next year, we're gonna bump it up to 12. So we've had 30, and yeah, next year we're full at 12, so by the end of next year, we'll have over 42 kids.
Sweet.
Any other questions on the proposal? We need a motion if we wish to approve adding the nutrition as a science elective.
I'll make that motion.
Is that, wait,
Sorry.
all right, any further discussion? All in favor of the approval of the nutrition as a science elective for graduation? Indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to new business 8, approve the list of graduates for the RP class of 2019.
Mr. Tim has included the list in your packet tonight. It's on page 20. Any last-minute updates, Mr. Tim?
Cool. Crossing
Mr.
my
Campbell is
fingers.
on.
Crossing my fingers on some of them.
All right, so stay tuned.
We wish to make a motion to approve the list of graduates. Motion by Michael, your second.
I'll second.
Second by Greenwood. All those in favor of approving the graduate list, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Good luck to the list. Item D, approve changes to the 1920 school year calendar. What's going on with that?
Page 21 of your packet will give you an idea there based on some feedback we received, both from parents and as well as from staff. The spring conference date would be eliminated. We're still maintaining 174 student contact days and still 182 teacher contact days. So nothing has changed in that regard. You'll notice that where that conference fell was right at spring break, so that would have been April 9th, and so we would be eliminating that conference date and time. And then what we're proposing to the teachers is to allow them some flexibility to do professional development, of 8 hours of professional development on their own. And they can choose from a variety of things, but most advantageous would provide them the opportunity to do something in their area of interest. And so we have a way of documenting them, so we wouldn't change the requirements, as I indicated, the number of student contact days or the teacher contract days. Would provide us some flexibility. If you'll notice, on May 29th, the teacher workshop day is normally been a full day, and thanks to that flexibility as well, we're able to provide them with a 4-hour workday at the end of the school year.
Yep, and if I can speak, the biggest thing to that is we kind of met and thought of, we're trying to individualize education. I think that's part of our strategic plan as well. So we said, why can't we individualize professional development for our staff? And in the summer, an option is if the staff finds a workshop that really interests them in the summer, that can be their 8 hours. Or otherwise, it can be like Mr. Ayler said, in their field. So we might have some that are, like our math department here, if they meet in the summer and now they have to plan for the new sequence. Or if we have teachers that team teach, stuff like that. Or if you want to go out to another school. So we're just giving that flexibility to our staff of, hey, here's 8 hours that you're doing. You can do whatever you want, document it, and it counts for that in your professional development on your own. It's kind of some other schools are doing it. We've reached out and kind of copied a little bit of how they document it as well. So.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Hall,
There's no second.
second by Krenzen. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item E, approve the 2019-20 agreement with Hiawatha Valley Mental Health.
Page 22 of your packet is the contract that we have, are presenting to you this evening, seeking your approval of. Hiawatha Valley Mental Health has been serving our district here for a number of years, and we would like to continue their services. And one of the nice things about working with Hiawatha Valley Mental Health is that they continue their programs throughout the summer months. And so that's been advantageous, and we're projecting the cost savings from last year's contract to this new contract of approximately $6,000. So,
Do you have any questions about the proposed contract?
So it's no change in service? Just
No change in
just the
service.
savings?
yeah. I will tell you, they have a new director. Eric Sievers is their new director, and Eric is a resident of Rushford here, has children that attend school here, and so we're fortunate to have him in that leadership role as well.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Krenzen, is there a second?
Wait a second.
All in favor of approving the agreement for the upcoming year with Hiawatha Valley Mental Health, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving on to item F, approve the 19 to 20 memorandum of understanding with Luther College for clinical field experiences.
And that's page 26 of your document. It's an annual approval. It's just saying that we agree to, if there's an interest for placement of the student teacher within our school district, that we have this agreement in place.
Any questions on that memorandum of understanding?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Motion by Wade, second.
I'll second.
Second by Clemson. All in favor of the agreement with Luther College, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item G, approve the resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Sydney Huntley, probationary teacher.
Ms. Huntley was new this year, was a third grade teacher, and as I outlined in my board packet to you this evening, due to enrollment numbers, both at the kindergarten level, and I know that I'll get to that in just a second, but we had 2 sections of second grade this year, 3 sections of third grade, so next year we only need 2 third grade teachers. One of the things that we were hoping for is that our kindergarten enrollment would have been in the 49 to 50 range, and right now it's at 48. So there is an outside possibility that enrollment would increase. It certainly would be available to be placed on recall. But as it stands as of right now today, we do not have those students. Mrs. Olsted Shepherd has done an excellent job of reaching out to parents and that have children that may be age eligible to attend kindergarten, and we have not been successful in having any new enrollees in kindergarten. So therefore, we're bringing that recommendation to you because of the decline or the small class sizes in second grade moving on to third grade.
Those are always tough to do when you get so close like that.
I agree.
Do I have any questions about the non-renewal issue? Not for a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Hall, second.
Fresno second.
Second by Princeton. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of the teaching contract of Sydney Hunt, a probationary teacher, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
John, you actually need to do a roll call on that, it's a resolution.
Oh, okay. I stand corrected. Need a roll call vote on the motion. Yes is approval of the resolution, no is opposed.
Chris Gridlin,
Yes.
Valerie Howe,
Yes.
Joyce Iverson, John Linder,
Yes.
Jeff Michael, Bonnie Pinson,
Yes.
Kathy Wade.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. We're moving on to item H. H of 8 of new business, the athletic training outreach service contract with Winona Health Services Sports Medicine. And that will begin on the 1st of August of this year and continue for 2 years till the 31st of July 2021.
So our 2-year contract with Winona Health is up at the end of this year, and so Mr. Beaverdorf has reached out to them. There is one little change that we have, and he will outline that for you this evening.
Yep. For those not familiar, we first started a contract with Winona Health in 2015, did that for 2 years, renewed it in 2017, and then now again, we're at 2019. When we first started with them, we went with a very, very scaled back coverage of services that included twice-a-week visits, to do well checks is what they call them, and come in during the school day. And then we had just a select number of events that they provided services for. They would come to all of our home football games. They would come to a select number of basketball games and wrestling matches and volleyball games, and they would come to none of our spring activities. After talking with our coaches, we went to the board at that time to ask for coverage at all of our home varsity level or high school level events, of which the board was receptive to that, and our coaches, parents, and students have benefited greatly from that. So that kind of gets us to what was the 2017 contract. We've had great service with them. They do a great job of communicating, a great job of, and when communicating, it's communicating with the parents, with the coaches, with the kids, staying connected. They're treating our athletes, when our athletes are injured here, they're treating visiting athletes. I can share just last week, there was somebody that reached out from a neighboring school saying they happen to have somebody that was injured at one of our events and think it's so great that they're a board member at a different district and wanting to get to coverage like we have at all there. So we're very blessed to have coverage. The change in the 2019 is just that it's spelling out more clearly that we want them at all of our high school levels, so all 9th grade, JV, and varsity level competitions. We don't have 9th grade football, we don't have 9th grade baseball or softball, so it spells out specifically in there. For those that do have 9th grade, we're asking them to come what is about an hour and a half earlier on those nights, so that instead of $130 per event, it's $160 for those, which is our volleyball and boys and girls basketball. So that's the one stipulation that is different. Aside from that, it still is the twice-a-week visits, the communicating, and everything else that goes along with that, so.
From my observations, they come in, they work with our athletes, any injuries that take place, they're here in a timely manner during the school day. I don't have any complaints that I'm aware of as far as the services that.
No, the way the process works is our coaches can request that they want an athlete seen. Parents can call, email in. I mean, the process is just communicate to Holly and myself, hey, can we get so-and-so added to the list? Absolutely. So parents can do it, kids can do it, as well as coaches can do it. Whether they're in season or out of season, we know that we have a trainer here to see kids on Mondays and Thursdays. But during the school year, when we have activities going on, they're actually here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, because they're here for our events too. So we get great coverage, great communication, and great services provided at no cost to our kids, which is the great part of, rather than, I think my daughter sprained her ankle, or is it broken, is it not? I have to take work off, I have to schedule, I have to, take them off, pay an office visit, all to get what could be just an opinion. Now, of course, there are circumstances that the trainer sees them and refers them on to seek more detailed care, but it is that initial screening that is a service we're able to provide to our students, which is very beneficial to the families. So, I welcome any questions you have, but like I said, it's very similar to what we've had in place for 2 years, with the exception of spelling out specifically that we want them at ninth, JV, and varsity, and $30 more on those nights. So,
What would be the total cost with that addition over the first of the year?
I believe I calculated to be 34 events. If we count our home volleyball, that's counting the volleyball tournament, and then factoring in 13 home basketball for boys, 13 home for girls. Now, some we participate in tournaments, sometimes it's down to 12 home events, but if we use that, that's 26 basketball and 8 volleyball, gets us to 34 events. If I do my mental math, 30 times 34, we're just about $1,020. I believe.
$1,020 increase.
Correct. Correct.
Any questions on the proposed?
I guess I'll say one other thing. The benefit of having them at those ninth grade, because we could go a cost savings method and not have them at ninth grade. Our ninth grade games, if you pick volleyball, they start at 4:45. They're going on in the gym over here. We've got 7th and 8th grade over here at 4:30. And if there are times the trainer goes back and forth. So really, we're getting coverage at almost our entire 7th and 8th grade games too. So if we're thinking of saving money versus, what do we get for that $1,020, we're getting coverage of 3 different levels of those games. So.
And they're willing to do that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
There's
Yep.
no hesitation on their part.
Correct.
We're employing them, so it does work out well.
Okay, any additional questions on the proposed contract with Winona Health Services?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ferguson,
Second.
second by Greenwood.
This is another 2-year contract, right?
Right.
Correct. It would go through July 31st, 2021. And then I would ask John to sign this or Mr. Ayler to sign this when we're done. So.
Okay, motion by Princeton, second by Greenwood. Any further discussion? All in favor of the approving the contract with Winona Health, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to item I, superintendent's report. Mr. Ayler.
Sure, just a note of thanks. I'm sorry that Abby could not be here with us tonight, and we'll work with Mr. Tim to secure a student representative next year as a replacement. My thanks to her, and we signed a letter for her. We have a certificate of appreciation that we'll present to her as well. So, I'm just going to kind of chunk things together tonight for you. First of all, congratulations to our band and chorus. If you were able to attend any of those concerts this spring, you were treated to some excellent music. So kudos to our student musicians and to Mr. Mulkey, Mr. Olson, and Mr. Adam George for having our students perform at a high level. So extremely pleased with that. The Finance Bowl, I know Mr. Tim will be talking about that, so I'm not going to speak under on that. Cassie Meldahl was our representative for Above and Beyond. A number of field trips went on, and the biggie for us, for our 5th grade, is they make an outing to Eagle Bluff, which is an outdoor educational experience outside of Lanesboro. Very effective outing for our students. Very pleased with the support that we received for that. Last night we had the Seniors Award night, and I will tell you it was a very rewarding experience to be a part of that. And Mr. Tim and I concluded at the end of the evening that is one of our favorite events of this year. This year we had 5 new scholarships presented. One was in memory of Dick Lurch and Ron Haugen. One was in memory of Tracy Allman. Mr. Tim, help me out. That's 2, 3.
Roger Metz.
Roger Metz, a memorial of Roger Metz, former board member here, was they were present, and Carolyn Johnson. There was 2 scholarships given out in her memory as well. And then Ron Chose has chosen to provide a scholarship of $500 a year for the next 20 years. And that goes to the senior with the highest GPA. So those were new scholarships this year. So again, we're extremely grateful and appreciative for the families that have recognized that that's a viable opportunity to use the Foundation for Rushford Peterson Schools. And a shout out of thanks to them, because this year they handed out 16 scholarships. That's the most that the foundation has ever handed out. So there were 12 regular scholarships given out, and then 4 of the scholarships for career and technical education as well. So extremely thankful for the work that the foundation has done and being able to reward our students. So we continue to make progress in that, and ultimately our goal is to provide every senior with a scholarship for those that are going on pursuing a schooling after their high school years. So that's a healthy advantage.
Yeah, the years I've been on the board, I just watched those scholarship, the numbers increase, and it's really nice to see that there's more and more opportunities for these kids to further their education.
So in my board report, I'm calling out some of the events that we hosted here at school. I was bringing your attention to the Rushford Women's Group. We were able to provide them an avenue for their final meeting, and that was well received. We had Administrative Professionals Day that took place. Our junior and senior prom this year. Our new sponsor, Mrs. Poppy in 3rd grade was our prom advisor, and did an excellent job of that. The annual Daddy-Daughter Dance took place after that. And we had Teacher Appreciation Week, and a note of thanks to Lisa Tim, who assisted us in helping us treat and recognize our teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week. We hosted some student visitors from the Ridgeway Charter School this year. We're down in the numbers that we had, but yet they were still excited to have the opportunity to come here. Last Friday, our special athletes, and I need to add one name that I left off of there. Anthony Zaluka, a 7th grader, attended the Special Athletes Day as well at St. Mary's last Friday. So my thanks to those students for representing RP schools in a fine manner, and to Mrs. Brown for providing the coaching and assistance with that special event. In addition to that, a couple of things that I want to just bring to the board's attention. Received an update today from the Minnesota Rural Education Association. As you know, for funding for next year, Governor Walz and the legislators, the Senate came to an agreement, and they agreed to put 2% on the general ed formula for the next 2 years. The levy equalization and additional Ag 2 credit relief was still in the mix, so we're not sure how that sifted out, so we'll know more after this evening. They have to conclude the legislative process. So that concludes my update for tonight, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have in regards to my report. But again, very busy time of the year, as you can tell. So it's all very positive, lots of good things happening.
Anything for Mr. Hiller? Thank you. Moving on to community ed. Ms. Lawson's probably at the softball game.
Yeah, so I'm going to fill in for her this evening. Again, her report starts on page 34. She's sharing information with you about youth dance and the performance that took place. And again, that took place on Saturday, May 4th. They had 2 performances there, so very well attended. The summer recreation programs are well in place, and we'll be getting underway very shortly. She is sharing with you a list of the various things that we will be sponsoring this summer. So as you can see from that, lots of good things going on. So on page 36, she continues with the summer rec. And then on page 37, she's updating you on enrollment for next year. We're currently looking at 60 registered students and families, so we're looking forward to that. The current class this year took a field trip out to Johnson Rolling Acres. This is an annual trip for them, and they enjoy that very much. And our preschool will have their graduation coming up on Wednesday, May 29th. And then she's sharing some information with you about the ECFE, and also sharing some information with you about grant information. The literacy grant of 150 books from the Southeast Minnesota Initiative Foundation. And then also some information about a little recognition program for Mr. Ayler on Friday. So, and that will let me just fade off into the sunset. So that concludes the community ed report.
Any questions on the community ed? Okay, Mrs. Shepherd.
Thank you.
Elementary.
Yes, every year we take young writers to a conference at Winona State University in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and they come back and they're excited about different things they learn. They get to break into small sessions and go to different authors and learn writing skills and just the whole process of a book and making a book and writing a book and illustrating a book, and just a nice opportunity. Ms. Pelzel takes that group along with a parent volunteer each year. I added in the class counts at this point. You can look at those. Our 5th grade at 62, down to, like Mr. Ayler said earlier, our smaller 2nd, 3rd grade, 1st grade classes. So that's what it is at this moment. We'll see what happens this summer. The book fair just ended last week. It's buy one, get one, which is huge for our students. They love that. They have a point-a-day challenge. At that time, each classroom has a bucket, and with the $904, Mrs. Wick and I think Mrs. Meyer both go and they buy books. So you get the double the amount, which is really nice. The Lions also donate money at this time so that we can get more books. So every child does receive a new book of their own. Some of the younger ones especially are pretty excited to have this new book, and they're just excited to share it. Sometimes they're just like, I got a new book today. And so it's a wonderful thing. And with our elementary having built-in time to just read what you like to read for enjoyment, which has been a nice addition to the elementary this year. Fast group testing is done. We'll be doing data reviews here in the next couple of days. Our summer school program is set. Mrs. Markowitz has that ready to go. I think it's around 26 students right now. Class trips are always interesting. We had one 4th grade set tomorrow, but because of weather, we changed it to Wednesday. And we had a 5th grade trip to Winona, and they're on water, and the people called them today and said, the water's rising too fast, so if we're going to do this, we'll do it Wednesday. So we'll have that Wednesday as well. So we'll have kindergarten, 3rd grade, 4th, and 5th grade gone this Wednesday. for making sure we have buses to transport.
Great for nice weather.
Fragrance, yes. Special athletes like Mr. Ayler said, I had some of our staff came back, just thinking, wow, you know, that was such a nice thing for our students. And we've gone for the last several years with grade level classes, so second and fourth grade went this year. And like I said, some of the teachers are like, just, you know, it's a good opportunity for some of these kids to see how hard those athletes work and how excited they are, and it's their day and recognize. And Mr. Kyer said that when Rusher Peterson came by in the parade, that our whole section was so loud and just cheering, and some of our little guys in fourth were just waving down there, big smiles, and you know, families right there, and it's just, it makes your heart go warm and fuzzy, so it's awesome. I want to add into the ASSIS service hour spreadsheet is being worked on, and the year-end reports, one for middle school, one for elementary. I've started them, I've gotten them off to Margaret, she's going to be working on them, and we'll be sending those off. They're due in September, but we do it when we're fresh in our mind, all the details, and we'll get it off in early June. And we have not heard anything about next year funding. And the last thing I just want to say is the field day event, we're doing that again this year. It's going to be a K-1-2 and then 3-4-5 morning and afternoon. They'll eat lunch here, eat and go, and Mrs. Brown did a real nice job getting volunteers from middle school, high school, and the staff working the different things, and the students just love it. Also, all the updates from our classroom teachers, I hope you take the time to check out some of the things that are happening in elementary, because it's pretty awesome. So, thank you.
Okay, anything for Mrs. Shepherd? Thank you. Mr. Tim, middle and high school.
Yeah, thank you. To start there, our class schedule for next year is complete, kind of listing all of our concurrent enrollment college level classes that we have with Minnesota State Southeast, and some advanced placements with some great opportunities for our students. In addition, we have Mr. Lynn's meeting with the agriculture people over there, Mr. King's meeting with some of the technology people over there in regards to getting some more of those articulation classes, where if kids take the classes here, they can then go to Minnesota State Southeast, and those classes can be used for some of those hands-on tech classes. So we're trying to find college level classes for some of our hands-on type kids. Then we also got reached out to by Minnesota State Southeast due to our partnership with them for the CNA that Mr. Ayler brought up earlier, that they're looking at trying to develop a pilot site for a practical nursing. And they're looking at us to try to be the high school site. Now, what that looks like, I don't know, and I talked with Mrs. Thompson on it, and she's like, got real scared and like, ooh. And I talked with Southeast Tech, and they're like, we don't know how to do it either, but someone brought it up to us, and we thought of you, so we'll meet and talk. So, is it gonna go anywhere? I'm not sure, but at least it's kind of nice that we were given first dibs at it and at least try, because if that's something we could pull off, I don't know if there's another school in the state that's doing that. That's what they kind of said, there are other colleges in other states that are doing it, so it'd be a pretty cool thing if we could. But at least the discussion's out there, which is always fun for us. As Mr. Ayler mentioned, the senior awards night, just with the craziness of the Monday, didn't get to putting together the recipients for you guys. We'll make sure we send out an email, and Mrs. Eckram puts together, we've got the program, and then does a nice thing to send to the papers. We'll make sure we get that sent out to you guys so you can see who won the scholarships and who won the awards. On the 15th, we had our DARE graduation, so our 6th graders went over to Kingsland. Last year it was here. Just that graduation, they worked with Fillmore County Sheriff's Department throughout the whole year on the dangers of drugs, how to make smart, informed decisions, and thinking through their decisions. And they had their graduation with that. The Young Writers Conference, as Mrs. Shepherd mentioned, our middle school kids went on Thursday. The Financial Quiz Bowl, as Mr. Ayler mentioned, we've got our kids mentioned there, and they are listed there, and we got first place again, which makes it now, we've got first place in that 3 out of 4 years, and the other year we got second place. So Mr. Hinkie did a great job, stepped up for Mrs. Thompson the first 3 years. He stepped in this year with the team, and it's a nice big trophy, and they walk back with it, and they get it for another year. So a great thing that we're teaching our kids as we go up to that finance bowl to win. He said it came down neck and neck, and he said they had to give a presentation first, and then after the presentation, they were tied with Cochran Fulton City from Wisconsin, and then they did a Kahoot, which is like a big quiz. He said it was like a 95-question Kahoot. They got one question more right than Cochran Fulton City, and it was the last question, and based on that, they won. So it was a pretty intense day for them through that stuff, but he said they had lots of fun with it, so.
They were kind enough to text me immediately. In fact, they called me, so instead of text, they did call me.
They were excited about it, so another fun thing for our kids to do. Some of our professional growth, we kind of mentioned that individualized professional development, and we have that summer workshop that we're having some of our staff go to in Casson, an Institute for Better Learning. We've had a majority of our staff will complete our 3-year cycle, and every staff member that's been interested and wanted to go to this institute now after this will be able to go, and it's just a great learning opportunity of what's new and exciting in education, what some of the latest trends are, and we've come back from there each year with some stuff that's been able to be implemented right away to help our students. So I'm sure we'll get some of that again. Mr. Eder mentioned the prom there, and we had Riley Cope and Chelsea Ivor, our king and queen prom night. For our post-prom was another great evening. And our last big event of the year for our high school really coming up, graduation on Sunday. We've got Kathy and Jeff have agreed to handle diplomas, and if you guys could be here at 1 o'clock, we'll meet you up. The seniors will be up in here getting ready. If you guys come at 1, we'll have chairs for you on the stage with Mr. Ayler and myself, and we'll kind of go through how to do it. It's pretty simple. If you guys hand diplomas, shake hands, halfway through the alphabet you switch, and smile pretty for everybody. It's a good day for our kids, so it's a fun day. And that's what I have for my report. If we have any questions, I can surely answer.
Anything for Mr. Tim? Thank you. Mr. Beaver, our activities.
Yep, my report starts out there, weather, that's been the constant challenge we always have in the spring. We've had snow, we've had rain, we've had cold and heat and hot. So it meant a lot of rescheduling, but we got every baseball game in. We got 1 short on softball. We missed out on hosting our tournament. We made up one of those games, so we got 19 games in for softball, 20 games in for baseball. We missed a couple track meets, including our home invite, which is unfortunate. But we're at that point now where we're transitioning to postseason. By the end of this week, golf has 1 regular meet tomorrow at St. Charles, but otherwise then the conference meet, and then we're postseason. So I'll go right down the line here. Softball, we got the number 5 seed in the softball subsection tournament. We went over to Fillmore Central tonight, and unfortunately, I have to be the bearer of bad news that we lost 12-0. We had played them really tough twice earlier this year. We lost in doubleheader overtime, or extra inning games, 3-4 both times. So we were optimistic, but unfortunately, it did not work out. We could focus on last Friday's last regular season game. We beat Caledonia 5-1, so we'll focus on the positive there. So the softball season is done as of a half an hour ago or something like that. Track and field, as you may or may not be aware, that we qualified, our boys qualified in the section true team to advance to the state true team meet. For those not familiar, because it was a wild card, I get the common question, what's wild card mean? The top team in each section, there's 8 sections, so the top team automatically advances, and then they run what they call as a paper meet, but it's a computerized simulated meet where they take all of our times and distances that we did, compare them to all the other teams that in the state, and then they determine the next 4 best. And the next 4 best happen to be Lanesboro Fillmore Central, St. Charles, Rushford Peterson, and Osakis. So the state meet is made up of 12 of the top teams in the state, of which we competed very well in great attitudes, but poor weather on Saturday, and we ended up 6th. So the winning team ended up being St. Charles, followed by Lewiston Altura, followed by Lanesboro Fillmore Central. So 4 out of the top 6 teams in the state were in our section, in our area. So, but the true team, what that is, that's who has the best well-rounded thing. You know, not just one great sprinter or one great jumper or one great distance person, but the best well-rounded thing. We've participated in that since all the way when it started in 1987. So 32 years. Our last boys team was in 1991, so a 28-year drought. We had a number of girls teams go. I talked with Bailey Rasmussen, with Bailey Bitzy. She went, I think, 4 or 5 years in a row, all in the mid-2000s. So our girls have participated a lot, but this was our boys getting that opportunity to go there and represent us very, very well. So their subsections for them start on this Thursday at Chatfield. The top individuals advance to go to sections next week, which is the 28th and 30th in Winona, and then the state meet is the following. Wishing them the best of luck. Baseball, we got seated a number 3 seed there, so we host Houston on Wednesday, so we'll be hosting a game here on our beautiful field. With a win, we would then advance to play on Saturday at Winona State at 12:30. If we win that game or the one after, it's a double elimination at that point. So if we win either one of those, then we play on Memorial Day, also at Winona State, for an opportunity to then advance to the sections at Austin the following week. So we wish them the best of luck as well. And then golf, as I mentioned, they're got the conference meet this Thursday, and then their sections are at Cannon Falls on the 28th and 30th. Our boys and girls teams are currently competing at Cannon Falls today, kind of a preview of the course, but in a Cannon Falls tournament, and they're very optimistic approaching sections for that as well. So that kind of wraps up our spring activities. Got upcoming things, I've got it listed there, I guess, too. So I would entertain any questions you guys may have.
Do you want to inform the board this evening, Mr. Pedro, about the scoreboard that was not operational this spring, but yet it was still in?
Yes, very, very fortunate. If you've seen our softball field, thanks to a combination of people, including Conadies, for the ability to get our I-beams and get them cut and everything, we were able to get that installed. Now, the unfortunate part is the weather did not cooperate for us to get the electricity, buried and run, and we could have rushed and tried to makeshift something, but if we're going to do it, let's do it right. So it's placed there, thanks to the generous donation of Rushford State Bank. So if you've seen that, it does say, Rushford State Bank on it, but then also given in honor of Rod Anderson. And that was something that the family was actively involved in supporting that, but the bank fully funding that. So very, very blessed to have that, and looking forward to being able to show that off. Visually, you can see it now, but to show it off in operation next spring. So.
And again, I just want to reiterate, we feel very fortunate that the Rushford State Bank was willing to reach out to us and take the initiative, basically, to assist us with funding that, and then obviously recognizing as well that Rod Anderson was very committed to softball and recognizing him for his years of service as well.
Okay, anything else for Mr. Buder? Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the end. Anything?
Yeah, I just want to share with the board this evening, John Thompson was here on Friday, spent the forenoon here visiting with me and just kind of getting a lowdown on things and up to speed on a few things, and gave him a tour, and he was able to, this was the first time that he'd been here that students have actually been in the building. The other previous times there were no students here, so he was elated to see the building in action, so he's excited and looking forward to making the transition here to Rushford Hughes.
Good. Anything else? We will be here again on the 17th of June, 5:30. And with that, I look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Motion by Wade, second by Tim. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.